Hello, and welcome to Page to Stage Actual Plays. I am your host and keeper of arcane lore. My name is Seth. Tonight we have a full house of characters. So we have Johnny returning as Robert Smiles Lamone. Hey, Johnny, how's it going?
Going all right.
Typical Smiles style there. I like it. We have Jonathan returning as Preston Cobb. Hey, Jonathan.
Great.
We got Steve back with us. He's playing Mr. Edward Kane. Hello, Steve.
Hello.
And Thomas is joining us for the first time in this campaign. Thomas is playing Arthur Belmont. How's it going, Thomas?
Going good.
Nice. Good. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to forego the recap. If you guys didn't watch episodes 1 through 3, you can check them out on our YouTube channel, so go back and watch those. And we're going to start off with Edward Kane. So, Edward, you find yourself in a beachfront vacation resort town. You're sitting on the beach. You've been on the beach for a few hours. Your skin is hot. You've been drinking, I don't know, maybe some whiskey. Is that what Edward would be drinking?
Yeah, whatever sounds good.
All right. He's drinking some whiskey on the beach and feeling very warm. You're feeling warm enough that you need to retreat back to your hotel. So you get up, you leave the beach, you approach a building on the shore. It's kind of a stucco building, has terracotta roof tiles, and you walk into the lobby. And inside the lobby, the hotel is empty, so you see no one around you.
Okay. Is there anybody at the front desk at all? A bell, maybe?
There doesn't appear to be anybody as you're kind of walking around and snooping around. And eventually, you do see two gentlemen standing in the back of the lobby, and they're both having a drink, and they seem to be talking with one another. But you're hot, and you're feeling like you need to get back to your room.
Okay. I checked to make sure I have my key to my room.
You do have your key to your room, yes.
Oh, thank God I remembered something. Okay. I'm going to walk at least by the two gentlemen just to kind of eavesdrop on what they're talking about as I make my way upstairs to my room.
Okay. As you approach them, they notice you, they take note of you, and they stop their conversation and just kind of deadpan stare at you.
A lively place, right? And I do it with like a smirk on my face.
And they give no reaction. They just continue staring at you.
You seen any of the help around? Bellboys? Okay. Gentlemen, continue on. And I'm going to like give them a disgusted look and then start heading towards any grand staircase that I can.
So there is an elevator.
There we go.
So you hit I'm not sure what the 20s elevator looks like. I know they have that little grate that closes, but
right.
Yeah. So the elevator arrives, and you're maybe not sure how the elevator arrived either. You walk in. There's a bellhop operating the elevator, and he says, "What floor, sir?"
Oh, I'm gonna look for my key to see if it has a floor number on it.
Room 410.
Fourth floor. Fourth floor.
Indeed. And he kicks the elevator into gear, closes the grate, and the hum of the elevator starts going as you ascend to the 4th floor. You kind of look around. You maybe check your watch, sort of cover yourself up. Maybe you have a towel wrapped around you.
Absolutely.
And then before we go any further, Edward, have you ever seen a dead body before? Like, was that your first experience with the dead? When you saw
yes, that would be the first dead body Edward had ever seen in his life, other than one in a casket.
Perfect. Okay. So as you kind of adjust yourself and you look back at the bellhop suddenly has become Ariadne Varga, and she's dressed in her evening gown, and she eyes you seductively and says, "Ah, Mr. Kane, how nice of you to join me."
Ariadne, I didn't notice you a moment ago. Please forgive me. I'm gonna kind of let the towel drop a little bit off my not very strong looking shoulders, but I give it nonetheless the look, and I'll be like, What floor are you headed to this evening?
And she raises an eyebrow to you as you adjust your towel and kind of show off your shoulders. And she doesn't respond to you, but she kind of gives you another seductive look, kind of like narrowing her eyes and lifting eyebrows, maybe puckering her lips.
Okay. I'll take it. It's my floor. And what is she wearing right now? You said a nightgown?
She's wearing the same thing that you saw the night before at the party. So she's dressed kind of like evening wear to the nines.
Okay. I'm gonna just shake my head just for a minute as I take in that detail. But are you cold? I mean, it was beautiful out on the beach, but you look like you might be a little cold.
She says, "It was so nice to meet you, Mr. Kane. You are so gentlemanly and so handsome." And another
thank you. And just for a moment, I'm just for a moment, like, hey, have you seen Eugene?
And at that moment, the elevator arrives. Ding! And the door opens up on its own. And as you kind of like look out the door, you look back to where Ariadne was, and you are now find yourself alone in this elevator car.
Okay, Edward looks around frantically this time. Out of character, does Edward start to feel like something's off, or am I still going through this like, oh, this is just a normal vacation for me?
It's hard to say. I don't know.
Okay, that's cool.
You tell me.
I was just gonna say if I needed to. At this point, I think Edward would, with her disappearing, do one of those. What's going on here? I didn't know if that would be a roll or anything, if it checks against any knowledge. But he'll step out into the hallway, trying to go with it.
Okay. So as you step out into the hallway, you step into a very dark corridor, and at the end of the corridor, there is a doorway. And it's lit from behind, and you see a figure of a man standing in the doorway.
Tall? Does he fill the doorway, or is he kind of small?
He seems to be tall, so he almost reaches the top of the doorway, but he does seem slender in stature.
Okay. I'll call out. Excuse me, are you standing in front of my door? What number is that behind you?
And there's no response, and you can't see his face. He's just silhouetted against this kind of white light behind him. Okay.
I think at this point, Edward takes the towel down and just kind of like slowly wraps it around his hand as he takes a few steps forward. Not trying to look like he's posturing or anything, but just excuse me, and I'll just go ahead and walk towards the shadowy looking figure.
Okay. So you start walking down this hallway, and it's carpeted in kind of a rich maroon color. And as you kind of take a look around the hallway, you see no walls, but a wall of spider web, almost like you're walking down a tunnel of all spider webs. And the spider webs look endless. I mean, they're not very thick, but like as you kind of see through them, you just see kind of like spider webs intersecting into forever.
Okay. Do I still have everything about me? A watch, a towel? It's still all, my whole person is still there?
Your dress has suddenly changed, and now you find yourself in your jazz suit that you were wearing the night before to the Varga party.
Okay. Do I have my cane?
You do.
Excellent. At that moment, I will like do a little finger twirl with it, and I'll just try to poke one of the webs with the end of my cane.
Okay. Are you still advancing down the hallway?
Yeah, very slowly, just kind of like on the way by. Okay.
And as you kind of pierce your cane through the webs start to tear away, and you hear inscrutable voices kind of whispering as you tear away the cobwebs, just kind of.
Oh. I flip the cane back and like hold it close to me. And at this point, Edward's demeanor definitely would be, a kid in a really dark alley where he is now starting to like look around and look afraid, and he's seeing this light ahead. So he's going to make a quicker pace towards the light.
Okay. So you continue advancing down the hall, and as you get closer to this figure, you start to notice the familiar stature of Eugene Wilcox.
Okay. Eugene, and I'm gonna kind of like call out to him and just rush the rest of the way there, not even taking in any details of him.
And when you walk up to him, you could sort of see his face from the light behind him, and the look on his face is a face of horror. He has his mouth open wide, and he has black powder stains around his mouth, and he goes,
"Oh man!"
And then you wake up in a jolt, and you're in your bed back at home.
Okay. Yeah, Edward just throws off the sheets if they were even still there at that point, and does that thing where he puts his feet over the bed and just sits like this for a few moments. Heavy breathing. And I look around. You said I'm in my the place where I'm staying, right? The suite, the penthouse, or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. I will go to whatever bar in there is where my liquor is stored, and I think I will probably down a couple drinks until I actually find a towel, maybe that after my shower, and I like towel off all the sweat, and I just sit there and think about it for a moment. Think about Eugene. I need to go tell. No, I don't need to tell the parents. I'm just talking out loud, Edward. Edward's talking out loud. The authorities have probably done that. What time of the day is it that I've woken up? GM.
We'll say it's late. We'll say it's like 10 a.m.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'll find a clock and look at like. Okay. Yeah. I will get dressed the rest of this time. But if Edward was talking to himself, just narratively, he would be questioning whether Eugene's parents have heard or not, whether he should drive over there or whether he should call. So after he ends up getting dressed, he's fishing through his pockets real quick, and he finds I need Wilcox. He finds the Wilcox number, and he will go ahead and dial them first, if possible.
How long?
Or ask the operator to send him over.
How long does it take you to get ready?
I take my time. I'd say like a good hour, probably,
okay,
as I'm shaking off that dream and thinking about it.
So at about 10:45, before all that happens, you hear a soft knock at your hotel door.
Who is it? Get my tie on.
It's me, sir. Mr. Smith. Your valet.
Hold on 1 second, Victor, and I'll go ahead and stop with my tie, and I'll let Victor in. Good morning, Victor, as I open the door.
Yes, good morning, sir. I received a telegram from Grace Wilcox this morning, requesting that you call her as soon as possible.
Okay. Yep. That's definitely on the agenda. Have you heard anything? Talk downstairs, anything about what happened at the Varga house on your way up here? What are people saying?
I've not heard any news, sir. I was contacted by the Arkham police, Ray Stuckey. You should probably also give him a ring.
Okay. All right. I'll do that after I call the Wilcox. Is there a paper near my door? Was there? I don't know if that was a service in the 20s.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I will have Victor hand me the paper, and I'll be like, go ahead and order yourself some food if you haven't eaten, Victor. I'm going to ring the Wilcoxes, and I'll go ahead and head to the phone and dial them up. I'm going to pull up my notes here.
Sorry. Okay. So the operator connects you after a brief minute, and you hear a voice answer. Wilcox Estate?
Yes. Is this Mrs. Grace Wilcox?
Oh, no. Would you like to talk to Grace, Miss Wilcox?
I apologize. No. If Mr. Wilcox is available, please tell them it's Edward Kane.
Oh, yes. Mr. Wilcox is he's not feeling well this morning. I could grab Grace if you need to talk to her.
Yes, please. That would be fine. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for calling. Hold on. And after another brief moment, you hear a woman answer the phone. She's like, "This is Grace."
This is Wilcox. This is Edward Kane.
Oh, Mr. Kane. Oh, Mr. Kane, I heard about Eugene.
Yes, that's why I'm calling. I was just calling to offer my condolences and to just tell you how sorry I am. I know it's probably not worth asking, but how are you?
Oh, just terrible. Just terrible. I told you about that woman. I told you. That's why I called you. Edwin is in
Yes.
bed. He's near death. He would like to speak with you. Can you come over to our house at once?
Yes. Did you say he's near death? What happened?
Well, he's just taking Eugene's death so hard. He can't get out of bed this morning.
Okay. Whew. Okay. Yes, Mrs. Wilcox, I will be right over as soon as I can. But don't worry, I'll be there soon.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and hang up and... Okay. I'm going to look over at Victor and be like, okay, that was the hard part. All right, who did you say I was supposed to talk to? I wasn't listening.
Detective Stucky, sir, from the Arkham Police Department.
Okay, right, Stucky. All right, hand me the number. Okay. All right, and I will have the operator. Will you? Oh yeah, I don't know why I keep saying number. Operator, I need a Detective Stucky, please.
Yes, of course. She connects you to Arkham Police. And then after a brief moment, you hear, "This is Detective Stucky."
Sir, this is Edward Kane. I was told that my valet left me a message that you wanted to talk to me. Speak with me.
Yes, I'm going to need you to come in to the department at some point today, whatever your schedule will allow. I have a few questions for you regarding Eugene Wilcox.
I see. And these questions, is this just the general wanting to know what happened there because I was there that night, or are you saying that I might be a suspect?
Well, I'm just...
And I just get straight to the point. Sorry. That's what I meant to say. Edward just gets straight to the point.
I'm gathering information at this point, but you're certainly a person of interest. I was informed that you were one of the first, along with Mr. Varga, on the premises. And I also heard that you had a brief conversation with Eugene earlier in the night. I just kind of want to know what you know, and we're gathering information at this point.
Sure, Detective. Not a problem. I will be down there as soon as I am able to.
All right. Can you give me a time?
Yeah, let's say around... I'm going to go ahead and look at the clock again. Let's just say around 4:30. Does that work for you?
Yeah, sure. 4:30. Sounds good.
Excellent. 4:30. That sounds great.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Detective. See you soon.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to slam down the phone and be like, Victor, we need to know everything we know about this Stucky guy. Why am I being questioned?
I'm not right sure, sir. When you were at the party last night, I don't know what happened exactly.
Okay. I just want to know if you've heard anything. Hand me that jacket over there. And it's the jazz jacket from the party.
Yes, of course.
And I'm going to go ahead and fish through the pockets, and I'm going to find Mr. Smiles Lamone's self-made business card. What was the name that you put on there, Johnny?
I believe it should just been like Detective Lamone. So it's just
okay.
His last name.
All right, I'm going to flip it over in my hands a couple times, and I'm like, I have one more detective to call. And I'm going to go ahead and have the operator try to connect me to Smiles just before I leave.
So one housekeeping kind of timing detail here. So let's say that it's Sunday, so that we don't have to like retcon and go back with Preston and Smiles. So we'll say that Saturday, Mr. Kane spent recuperating in his hotel room, and that he really didn't leave the room, just kind of stayed home and just kind of mulled over what happened the night before. Because I don't want to run into an issue where they're kind of a day ahead of you in time and you're behind. So we'll just call it Sunday instead. Does that work for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then, So did you call Lamone immediately after talking to Detective Stucky?
Yeah. And if you're okay with it, Seth, if you wanted me to just speak with that part of the thing on Saturday and not call Lamone, that's totally something I would have done as well. Edward probably would have gone immediately to visit the Wilcoxes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I like the idea of keeping it on Sunday. That way we can just kind of, I don't want it to be like confusing timelines and stuff like that. So I think it just makes more sense that you took a day to recuperate. We'll just call it.
Perfect.
That.
Okay. Then if everything plays out exactly as is, then I would go ahead and ring Lamone real quick. Okay.
So Lamone, you're at your hideout spot. It's about probably 11:30. And you're, I guess you have a phone there. Your phone rings.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna let it ring once. Let it ring twice. Let it ring one more time after that.
You're my favorite person to play with, dude.
I'm just gonna like walk up to him, pick up the phone. Detective Lamone, who may I ask is speaking?
Hello, Detective. My name is Edward Kane, and I'd like to talk to you about a murder.
Ah, Mr. Edward or Mr. Kane, whatever you prefer. How have you been? You missed quite a bit of an adventure yesterday.
Yeah, well, after everything that I saw on Friday night, I decided to drink myself into a stupor to recover. So I am awake now and ready to speak to you, Mr. Lamone. I wanted to start off by saying a real detective has contacted me asking me to come in and answer some questions. I don't know if you've been contacted by same person, but since between you and I, if I know kind of the way that you work your jobs, what can I expect from something like this? I've never been questioned by police before.
Now, first off, I would say it's a bit rude for you to assume that I have been questioned by police before. And second of all, how dare you say I'm not a real detective? I take my role, I take my former job real seriously.
Yes,
also,
I could tell.
Also, you said you just woke up?
Well, I'm conscious now. So, yes, we'll say I've just woken up.
Mr. Kane, have you eaten yet? You see, I've seen you have required some extra an extra chicken meal, and I was wondering if you want to meet up in person and speak.
Yeah, you can come to my penthouse, or I could meet you at your probably not penthouse.
Your penthouse it is. Yeah. I'll see you. How does now sound?
That's fine. Depending on how far you are away, I'll tell my valet to look for you, because I don't want, just take one of the back stairs that way,
Okay.
Right? That's how we operate? That's how you operate? I don't know what I'm in. I just need you to come help me.
Okay. No problem at all. Don't worry. Detective Lamone will make sure you are mighty fine.
I'm just going to hang up the phone.
Awesome.
And I'll just go ahead and give Victor the instructions, and we'll just wait.
I'm actually going to call back.
Okay, I pick it up and worried at first. I'm like, this is Edward Kane.
Mr. Kane, you forgot to give me directions.
Oh, I'm at the Arkham Hotel. That's it. That's the only directions I feel you would need, Mr. Lamone. Arkham Hotel.
Okay, Arkham Hotel it is.
Okay, you look for you met Victor, my valet, the other night, so just look for him out front.
All right.
Okay. Goodbye. Right. And I'm gonna hang up again.
All right. So, are you gonna meet with Mr. Lamone before you go talk to the Wilcoxes?
I think I am, because Edward is now worried that he wants to be spoken to by a police officer. So now he's a little worried about what's happening. So he will wait for Lamone first and leave Grace hanging. Okay.
Let's check in with Preston. So Preston, we can either role play a scene if you have one, or not. What do you think Preston is doing on Sunday morning?
Freaked out. He's freaked out that Walter has passed away, and sitting on the news without calling police. I think that's where we left off last time. He said he wasn't calling anybody. That's he's kind of just pacing. I think 3 or 4 times he's reached for the phone to go ahead and make a call, and I think finally it gets the better of him that he hasn't made a call yet, and he will call anonymously.
Oh, he's gonna call in a police report?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe I've already contacted the police the other night anonymously.
So about
the body.
Yeah, I think so too. But that doesn't stop Preston from still needing to get it off his chest on what he's seen.
He needs some closure there. You got to do the right thing.
So.
Okay. Okay. So you call the police department, Arkham Police Department.
Yeah.
Okay. So a woman answers the phone and says, "Arkham Police Department."
Yeah. Hold on. I'd like to report a crime.
Okay. Tell me, is the crime currently happening?
Well, it's a suspected crime.
Okay, what's your name, sir?
Jack.
Jack. Okay, and what is the crime you wish to report?
I think it's a break-in.
Okay, where?
And then he gives the address of the Walter's address, or like that. What are they? It's like their dorms, right? Not dorms, but student apartments,
student cottages. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Student cottages. Yeah.
Okay, and she says, "And are you a neighbor? How did you hear about the? Did you see something?"
I saw something.
Okay, please tell me what you saw.
It just like the window was broken. That's all I know. And he hangs on the phone.
Nice. Okay.
And he just starts going back pacing around again, and he's like clearly like he didn't wasn't expecting the questions they were going to ask him, and he's like, he's kind of, his palms are sweating. He feels like he's done something wrong by breaking in to Walter's place and not immediately like reporting it to like the school authorities, and so his Sunday is just spent pretty much in guilt, not knowing what to do. But ultimately, he won't do anything.
Okay. All right.
Mainly out of fear of that, just not knowing what would happen to him, what would happen to Smiles, this is just totally outside of his element. I think I said that last time too.
For sure. That was pretty evident from episode 3. Yes, definitely. Yeah. All right. So we'll cut over to Mr. Arthur Belmont. So Arthur on Sunday, we'll say it's like Sunday around 11:30. What would Arthur Belmont be doing on a Sunday morning?
I'll brunching it up, man. if he didn't see any horrible things, he's just smoking cigarettes and eating waffles and stuff.
Is he out somewhere, or is he at home?
He's at a cafe.
Okay.
Just watching ladies walk by and smoking a cigarette. And did they do brunch then? Fuck it, he started it. Yeah. So he's just by himself.
Okay. So let's see. Let's say it's a little bit earlier than 11:30. Then let's call it 10:30. Okay. Arthur, are you eating by yourself?
Yes.
Okay. So you have a nice brunch down at the cafe, and then do you head home after the brunch?
Sure.
Okay.
I take a nice long walk home. Don't really have a schedule at all, so he's just gonna walk around and take in the beauty of the day.
Okay. So
what's the weather like right now?
It's actually quite nice. So it's May. It's a bright sunny day.
Yeah,
it's
he's
very
absolutely
nice
enjoying it. Yep.
Okay, so he takes a slow walk home. When you arrive at your door, you hear the phone ringing from within.
Oh, okay, I hurriedly get in to answer it.
So you unlock your door, you swing up the door, rush to get it. And you say hello. It's your sister on the other line, and she says, Arthur, I need, and his sister is Grace Wilcox. He says, Arthur, I need you to come, please, down to our home.
What seems to be the problem?
Well, I'll fill you in on the details once you get here, but and she starts kind of like battling with emotions.
Is everything all right?
Please just get down here as soon as you can.
Well, I surely will. So I hang the phone up, and then do they have cabs then? I don't think I have a car. I think I just walk around everywhere.
There is kind of like a trolley network in Arkham. They're on the south side of town, so they have a little bit of a country estate, sort of like a mile south of Arkham.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So I'll call for a ride if I could.
Okay, so yeah, you can hail a cab.
So I'll do that. Yeah, just get going down there as quickly as possible, and I'll let the guy know there's a good tip in it for him if he gets me there faster.
Okay. All right, so let's cut to Smiles. Smiles, you were going to arrive at Mr. Kane's suite.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say a little bit something earlier. Basically, since I kind of know, well, I can kind of guess how Preston Cobb might be feeling a little bit. I might want to try to swing by his place a little bit, check up on him, make sure he's not, narking or anything.
Okay, so you swing by Preston's place before you head over to Mr. Kane's suite?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right, so Preston, you're sitting at home, anxiety-ridden, wringing your hands and pacing to and fro in your small student cottage. And what does he hear at the door?
This is the police.
My God.
So at that, Preston goes and grabs his tie and buttons up his shirt and puts on his tie and tries to real fast comb his hair and look presentable. And goes and answers the door with like nice and body nice and straight, like minding his best type of gentlemanly look he can as he opens the door and he sees Smiles. He's like, "Oh, Bob, you had me there for a minute, Smiles."
I'm gonna tip up, I was looking down, so my hat was kind of covering it, but I'm guessing at this point he can recognize what my hat looks like. So I'm gonna tip it up and say, "Hey, how you doing?"
Well, I've been better.
Yeah, I can see that. So, quick question: you haven't made any impromptu calls, have you?
No. What makes you think that?
Oh, good. Well, you see, I was going to go meet up with another friend of mine. Do you want to join?
And
let me let you know that this is an official detective investigation thing. So I'm gonna need your expertise.
Right. And so Preston in his head is thinking about what he's been doing all morning and figures that this is better than what he's been doing. So he goes, okay, Mr. Lamone, let's go.
All right. And don't you fret about anything last night. As far as I know, we left nothing to link us to your former student's abode. And I'm saying this as we're walking to my vehicle.
Okay. When he gets in your vehicle, he's like, Mr. Lamone, why do you still have this chicken?
All right, on the way there, I'm gonna look towards Preston Cobb while I'm driving a little bit. So Mr. Cobb, if I recall, you know the number one fundamental rule about being in someone's house when you're not supposed to be in that person's house. You don't touch anything without some wipes.
Well, it's a little late for that, Mr. Lamone. I have this suspicion and this feeling every time that I'm talking with you that I'm somehow being interrogated.
Well, I am a detective, Mr. Cobb.
With that, he rolls his eyes. He's already been over this with you.
Yes, I have your business card.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and then the rest of the way, we're just probably making either no to little idle small talk here and there to the Arkham Hotel.
Okay, so it was actually the Miskatonic Hotel, if I remember correctly, was what Edward called it the first time. So you guys arrive at the Miskatonic Hotel. You guys go into the lobby, and I assume, Mr. Kane, did you get them your hotel room number?
Victor, my valet, should be waiting down there for them.
Okay. All right. So you guys, and I'm not sure you guys have seen Victor yet, but you see kind of a short, I imagine he's short, squat man. I imagine him kind of bald. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's like, as you guys walk into the lobby, he's like, are you Mr. Lamone and Mr. Cobb?
Yes, Mr. Cobb and Mr. Lamone.
Mr. Kane is waiting to see you. I will take you up to his room.
All
right. So you guys get in an elevator and go up to Mr. Kane's room. Victor walks up and gives like a sharp rap on the door. I guess maybe you guys have a code for a knock or whatever, but you know it's him.
Okay, open it up quickly.
Okay. And here.
I'm I see Preston. I remember him from the party, but I'll look at you, Smiles, be like, didn't know you were coming with a +1.
Yes, good day, Mr. Kane. You remember Mr. Cobb from the party?
Just ignored it.
Briefly, come in, and I'll let you guys lock it up.
Right. And as I'm walking in, I'm handing him the chicken. Well, like the platter or the takeaway box or whatever.
Okay. What was this?
Oh, I asked you if you were hungry. I had some leftover food from yesterday.
Charming. Okay, I'll go ahead and put that on a table, and actually, I'll hand that to Victor.
And he'll go away forever.
Just walk away.
Yeah, he won't even say anything, dude. He'll just walk away with it. He knows to put it in the trash.
I'll reach into the. I'm guessing because I have the alcohol there. I'll go ahead and grab some glasses and pour you guys a drink real quick. And I come over to you, Smiles, and hand you a drink and be like, okay, the police want to question me. I understand that I was in the room first. But what can I expect? I mean, am I a suspect? I can't be a suspect.
Well, the one thing I can truly tell you, and this is going to go for you too, Mr. Cobb, which is why I brought you along. When the cops ask you anything, you tell them nothing. You saw nothing. You did nothing. Nothing.
I was literally in the room with the dead body.
You
Literally.
saw nothing.
So was I.
No one who saw anything.
Okay, I'll try that approach if I want to be in jail. Thank you, detective.
Mr. Kane, he's not a detective.
Oh, I know, Mr. Cobb.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do that look where I look at both of them, going like, "Oh God, like who am I in the room with?" type of idea. But then I'll be like, okay, and then I guess you didn't need to drive all the way over here to tell me that bit of information. I guess since you guys are both here, I am on a trip to go visit a Miss Grace Wilcox. That's Eugene's mother who died. So I guess if you want to stay here, I need to leave. And that's just kind of like how Edward is, just real fast. Like, I've got what I need and moving on.
I'm going to like put my hand on his shoulder right before like you're turning around. And it's like, well, Mr. Kane, I can't really let you go without your bodyguard now, can I?
Oh, I forgot about that storyline. I was so drunk yesterday. Yes, you're right. I paid you good money to be my bodyguard for the weekend, is what I said. I think I said that. You're right. Keeping up appearances. I guess you're coming along, Mr. Lamone. Not as the detective, though, I think.
Yeah. And as he's like, kind of saying that, my Smile's face kind of like sullens a little bit. It's a little bit more serious, and he basically like looks directly into Mr. Kane's eyes. And if you are really worried about the police, give them as little of information of your involvement as possible. Some of these police officers might not be all on the up and up.
Your breath is horrible, Mr. Lamone. Jesus. And I'm just gonna back up a little bit and like, you could talk to me over the phone and about 3 feet apart, sir. Good God.
It's that day old chicken.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at Smith and be like, don't eat that. Like that kind of a look, then don't eat that. Okay, that's fine. I appreciate your extensive knowledge on the matter. Why then did you bring along Mr. Cobb?
Well, what are we gonna do about Walter? That's what I want to know.
I'm sorry, Walter? I'm missing something.
He's my I tutor him. He's dead.
There's another dead body?
Yes. That's why I'm here.
Edward's gonna sit down now. Like really sit down, like, oh.
And I haven't gone to the police yet, and I must tell you, it is killing me inside. It is absolutely killing me inside. We need to get to the bottom of this. I mean, I have this substance, and we're waiting for Monday morning so I can go to the lab, find a good scientist here at Miskatonic and get this analyzed. But I do believe the police should be involved. I'm sorry, Detective Lamone. I think they should be involved. We should be talking to the police.
Oh, And Smiles is actually laughing as they're both kind of like freaking out over this kind of. Well, Mr. Cobb, you don't seem to recall that chapter of Walter's life is now over. And now we have to move on. This is the new chapter. We have to go on forward. We've done all that we can. There's nothing that you can do except wait for the next plot line in this story.
Seth, does Cobb know if the police have actually gone to Walter's yet, or in his mind, there's still just a dead body sitting over there?
I mean, unless you dropped by and checked it out or called the police to ask, you wouldn't really know.
Okay. Well, I think our first order of business should be, if we're going that way, we definitely need to stop by Walter's and see if the police have taken care of it yet. I can't think of the thought of him just sitting there all dead by himself.
Mr. Cobb, you will stop that line of thinking right now.
I didn't do anything wrong, Mr. Lamone. Now, I don't come from the walk.
I haven't done anything wrong either.
But you walk like a gentleman who does something wrong all of the time. And
you talk like one.
I'm going to pull out my gun and I'm going to point it right at Mr. Cobb. Mr. Cobb, if you will let me get at least 2 words into this conversation. You know, last time in the library, I went a little bit easy on you. I'm going to let you know now. I've already called the police to go check on Mr. Walter. What we do now is wait for their obituary report in the newspaper. All right? You have the sample. You're going to give it to your accomplice or, your friend in the chemical labs. We can't do anything until then. I told you before. The person who's distributing this drug, Black, that killed your former student, that we're going to take it off the streets. That's my goal. Now, I know that you were going to be freaking out because you saw your first dead body yesterday. I'm going to slowly put my gun away now. But where is that southern pride of yours, huh? Why don't you get up and be a man for once and stop groveling all the time?
I'm about to be a man. I'm about to punch you in the face, Mr. Lamone. You pulling a gun out on me.
At this point, Mr. Smith takes the opportunity to be like, Mr. Kane, you really must get going if you're going to catch your appointment with Mrs. Wilcox.
Yes, thank you, Victor. I'm going to stand up shakily, grab the cane, and like just holding it very unassuredly this time. I'm going to look back over at Smiles real quick and then over at Mr. Cobb and be like, I know that we have more conversation because you just involved me in some other dead body, but Walter. I need to go see a grieving woman about her dead son. So, gentlemen, and I'm going to go ahead and start heading towards the door.
I will shoot the liquor that's in my hand and follow Kane away from Lamone as fast as I can.
Where are you going, fellas? We're definitely taking my car.
Oh, we are definitely not doing that, Mr. Lamone. Victor drives me and only Victor.
I will be driving, yes.
You know what? I am a man of reason. I will compromise, but let me get something from my car real quick, all right?
Okay.
Cobb's going to hang around Kane and just... Obviously, Kane has a lot more money and of affluence than Cobb does, but I think for Cobb, it's still, how should I say it? He's not as rich as you are, Mr. Kane, but at least it's like, like company, like people that are from that type of walk of life. And so at this point, Cobb is now with Mr. Kane trying to distance himself because he wants to. Okay. So you saying you have a driver that someone's going to drive you? He's like, oh, okay, let's go.
Yeah. And for reference, when Smiles took out the gun, of course, his signature smile had dropped down. And once Victor spoke up, that smile went back up. So he's just been smiling at you both after Victor spoke about going to the Wilcoxes.
Okay.
Very unsettling.
Yeah, very unsettling.
Yeah,
I guess at this point, DM, Edward will start leaving with Victor. And then obviously if Cobb is with him and Smiles is following, we'll just head downstairs.
Okay. So you guys all head downstairs. You guys pile into... Mr. Kane's car.
I'm going to go grab something from my trunk of my car.
Okay, you grab something from the boot of your car and bring it along with you. And you guys all head to the south of town, about a mile out of town, to the Wilcox estate. All right, so you guys arrive at the Wilcox estate. But actually, before we do that, let's head over to Mr. Belmont. So Arthur, you arrive at the Wilcox estate. You leave your cab fare and walk up to the door. What do you do?
Hang on just one second. My sheet is acting up. I just hurriedly knock. There's no one. There's no one there to greet me, right?
No one standing outside. I mean, if you knock the door, obviously.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I'll just knock.
Okay. And you know the help at your sister's house. So would you
be able just to walk in, would that feel comfortable, or?
I don't know if that would be like a social faux pas or not, like walking into an estate like that.
Yeah, just knock.
Okay. So yeah,
you know, there's doorbells at the time.
Yeah. The maid answers and she's like, "Oh, Mr. Belmont, please come in."
Well, all right then. Where's my sister at? She called me to come down here in a hurry.
Yes. If you'll take a seat in the sitting room, I will retrieve her at once.
Well, all right then. Now go sit down.
Okay. And there's like a tray of there's a teapot and a couple cups. You can serve yourself some tea if you'd like.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And then in about a minute, you see Grace descend the steps down to the foyer and into the sitting room. She's like, "Oh, brother, thank you so much for coming." And she gives you kind of like a warm hug and like really grasps you tight.
What does it mean on all this? Has something happened? I mean, you seem terribly flustered.
I have the worst news. Eugene is dead.
He drops the teacup, shatters.
Oh dear! And she kind of snaps, and the help comes over and kind of scoops up all the shards.
What happened? Was it an accident? Is there someone at fault for this? What's going on?
It was that woman I told you about, that Ariadne Varga, and she had contacted you a couple weeks before,
yes.
Like a little nervous about her her son's involvement with this Ariadne Varga. And she's related to you that she feared that she was into him for his money and trying to get to his father and stuff like that. So she's like, it was that Ariadne Varga. He was at her house last night, and the police say that he shot himself, but I can't imagine that Eugene would do such a thing.
No, he was a young man full of life, and he loved artistry, and he would never do such a thing.
Never.
So, do we have witnesses that have seen such a thing? Have the people been apprehended?
The police aren't telling me much. If you'd like, you could go talk to Detective Stuckey. He's in charge of the case.
Absolutely.
He called me last night very late, and he said that he couldn't give me any names of people that he's been talking to, but I know Eugene didn't kill himself. I just know it. There's no way.
No, I'd never do such a thing.
Never.
Is there anything I can do for you in the meantime?
Well, I've invited Mr. Kane. He's a friend of ours that we've met here in Arkham over the last couple months. And we sent him to the party on Friday to just keep an eye on Eugene and to report back to us about what he found out about Miss Varga, because he himself is a socialite, and we thought that maybe just keeping an eye on him at the party would be a good idea. And so I've invited him over, and I was hoping that maybe I could introduce you two, and you could, I don't know, work together to get to the bottom of this. I know the police, they're saying that it was a suicide, and that's just not possible. It's not possible.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. I just I can't make heads or tails of this situation, and my brain is swimming. I can't seem to think straight right now. Would you mind if I just sat down and waited for your guests to arrive?
Yes, please. Have tea. You're welcome to smoke if you like.
I'll just do that. That would help me out greatly.
Very well. Poor Edwin. He's up in the bed right now. He's not feeling well.
I imagine he's beside himself.
Yeah. So I think this might be a good time. I don't know if there's anything that the other party wanted to do before the door knocks, but I think you guys might arrive at this point. Who's at the door? Is it all three of you? Is it just Edward? How did you guys work this out?
Well, Edward definitely would be knocking at the door since he is the appointment. So whoever's with, I'll leave my valet, obviously, with the car.
Okay. Do you both come with him, Smiles and Preston?
Yeah, Preston's standing right behind.
Okay. Kane. Okay. Arthur, you see the maid run to the door, and she opens it up, and she's like, "Oh, good morning, Mr. Kane. I thought it would just be you coming, but no worries, please come in." And
thank you. Sorry about that.
The three of this motley crew walk in.
Yeah.
Grace comes out of the kitchen, and she's like, "Oh, Mr. Kane, thank you so much for coming."
Yes, Mrs. Wilcox, and I'll just, drop my demeanor, very, just try to be empathetic with her and be like, I'm just so sorry for your loss. Is your husband okay?
I don't know. I hope so. I hope this is just a spell and that he can feel better. And she says to Wilma, please go up and fetch Edwin. Please bring him down here. And the maid runs up the stairs, and she's like, please take a seat over here. My brother Arthur, he's here. He's offered to help in finding out what happened to Eugene.
Oh, excellent. This is my bodyguard, Mr. Lamone. And Mr. Cobb here is actually an acquaintance who was at the party, and we were just discussing everything that had happened. So I hope you don't mind if he's here.
No, that's great. Go ahead, Arthur.
No, I was just going to be shaking their hands as she introduced us.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we'll say you guys walk in the sitting room. You introduce everybody, I guess, Kane, to both Grace and Arthur. You guys all shake hands and meet each other.
You have a lovely home.
Oh, thank you. And then as you guys are kind of exchanging niceties, you see Edwin come down, and he's in a nightgown, so he's like he's not dressed, and he has a walking cane, and he's kind of shakily stepping down the staircase, and he's like, "Oh, old boys, so glad you all could make it. Thank you, Mr. Kane, for coming, and hello, Arthur. How are you, sir?"
I was doing all right this morning. I just I'm not as bad off as you, but I'm not well myself.
Yes. And he takes a seat in his large chair, kind of taps out a cigarette and lights it up, and he says, "So I need a prop here for this. You all have heard the news about Eugene, unfortunately, yes?"
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mr. Kane, I told you on Friday that I knew that Ariadne was a bad apple, and this has confirmed all of our suspicions.
Mr. Wilcox, I cannot imagine the pain that you are going through now, you and your family. And I'll look at Arthur this time, signifying his position in the story. And while the Mrs. Varga was definitely somewhat of a bear cat, if you will, I'm not really sure what involvement she might have had in poor Eugene's demise. Unfortunately and fortunately, I was only there after the scene. I was able to, I'm going to just, like, this time, Edward, not even putting on a show, like, visibly shakes, see Eugene's body shortly after it happened. And while I cannot and will not speak for Miss Varga, I did notice that she had somehow been injured by being either thrown out or fallen out a window as well. So while I would definitely never say that she is not a suspect in your poor son's demise, if I am being honest, since you did pay me to do, or ask me to do so, I cannot say with true honesty that Miss Varga that she was 100% responsible for your son.
Well, I appreciate that, old chap, but the police have informed us that he was found in her room. And surely that there must be some link there. What exactly did you see at the party, if you could please share with us?
Okay. And then just to say brevity, or time for brevity, Edward will just do the highlights of the interactions with Ariadne. He will leave out the conversation with Eugene and Lamone and all of them down in the cellar. he'll just say, I saw Eugene. He'll lie and say, I saw Eugene, just wandering about and talking to folks. And then I never saw him with Miss Varga actually until the very end when everyone had made their announcement and were starting to separate. That's when we heard the gunshot. I'm so sorry.
Yes, well, I know that you didn't know Eugene in the same way that we did, and Arthur, hopefully you can speak to this here, but my son would not have killed himself. There's no way. There's not a doubt in my mind that woman had something to do with it. Arthur, can you concur? I mean, Eugene was a happy boy.
Yes, he was. He was actually more of a son to me as well. Just taking him under my wing, and I can only suspect foul play. There's no reason for him to have taken his own life. He had a bright future ahead of him, and this does not set well with me. Something is wrong here.
Indeed. Mr. Kane, I've foregone the hiring of a private investigator, and I'm sorry, Mr. Belmont. Or Arthur, I was hoping that you both, because of your involvement with the Vargas already, and Arthur, because of your relationship with Eugene, I was hoping that you all could follow up the thread. Again, the police have already ruled Eugene's death a suicide. I don't know what further investigation is going to go on. And I would just entreat you both to find out what happened to my son and get to the bottom of the Vargas. I know there is more than meets the eye there. I just know it. She's a bad apple, and the fact that Eugene died, this is beyond my worst nightmare.
Well, rest assured, there are certain things we could probably do that the police would not will themselves to do. I will not rest until we find out what has happened here.
Yes, and if I need to hire a private investigator, of course I will. But Mr. Kane, could you help us? Will you help us?
Well, Mr. Wilcox, I will be honest. This is something definitely out of my purview. I have never dealt with an investigation of murder or suicide, but of course we're not ruling this as suicide. We don't believe the police. But and I'll look over at Arthur. And sizing him up, can I tell maybe what Arthur does as a job, or if he has a good connection here with the Wilcoxes? And
I'm tall but slight.
Okay, money wise,
I'm dressed very, very well.
Okay,
yeah,
okay. So then Edward will just kind of size up, thinking he's probably around the same money as the Wilcox. Mm-hmm. So he'd be like, I will definitely help you, Mr. Belmont, in your investigation. I may not be able to be so much of an investigator, but I may be able to talk to people, and we could find out what can happen with that, I guess. And I'm going to go over look at Cobb and Lamone. And while Mr. Lamone will help us, since he's on my payroll, I'm going to look at Mr. Cobb. I can't speak for you, Mr. Cobb.
Yeah, I'm beginning to wonder what I'm doing here.
That's the first thing he said.
Sir, were you at the party on Friday?
I was.
Yes. If you should agree to help, I haven't offered Mr. Kane here any monetary compensation, but
money's no issue. Do not worry about that.
Well,
sir.
certainly for you, Arthur, and I appreciate you for that. But Mr. Cobb, if I can form together a team to find out what happened to my son, I would gladly pay you if that's what it takes. And the same goes for you, Mr. Lamone. But Preston, go ahead. I'm hearing you say.
Well, I mean, I'm not really hurting for the cash, you see, but I guess I could use it to fund my research.
Sure, or I can pull some strings. I work
or perhaps maybe you could write a check to the history department of Miskatonic University. I do have a upcoming research project, so maybe some funds could help with that. And he's thinking in his head about the hop house and all of that.
Certainly, yes. I donate heavily to Miskatonic already, but specifically to the history department to fund your project, I would be happy to do that in exchange for your services.
Yes, and please do not in that check reference Mr. Leiter. You can go ahead and make that out to Mr. Cobb.
Yes, whatever you need, sir. I could just cut you a personal check if that's what needs to happen. I appreciate your help, and you, Mr. Lamone, I assume that you're already on the payroll of Mr. Kane, and your compensation is already taken care of.
Yeah, well, monetary compensation is taken care of, but you see, there's something a little bit more important that I was hoping you could give me, and that's a little bit of information.
Certainly, whatever I know, I will tell you.
Well, you see, Mr. Cobb here is a little bit flustered because, sadly, one of his former students had overdosed the night before.
Oh dear.
On a new drug, something called black. Now, I was only able to catch glimpses of this before I was forced to leave, the force while I was working as a police officer. That's why I'm a detective now and slightly working for Mr. Kane here. He has like a lot of resources that I can pull together and try to find the, where this drug is coming from.
Yes, I see. What can I help you with exactly, sir?
Well, if you could probably ask around, maybe see, maybe act as if you're trying to invest in this black and try to find out who's been distributing it. That's the kind of information I want. That's the kind of information that would help Cobb here rest his student's soul, help him. And I do like the whole cross thing.
Yeah.
And when I'm saying that, help him kind of move on and, get the people who are responsible for this young, bright man losing their life too early.
Yes, I see. And Mr. Cobb, I offer you my condolences for losing your student. But to be frank with you, Mr. Lamone, I'm not sure how I can help there. I will ask if any of my contacts have heard of this black, as you call it, but I assure you, I don't mess with any sort of street drugs, and the cadre of people that I hang out with, or that accompany me, also do not. But I will do my due diligence and find out whatever I can about this drug called the black. Of course.
And as he says that, I'm going to take off. Smiles takes off his hat and he looks at him. He's like, I really much appreciate that, and I promise in return to to get to the bottom of what happened to your son.
Thank you, Mr. Lamone. Yes. All right. So where do you guys go from here? It's Sunday, probably lunchtime-ish, maybe 12:30, maybe 1 o'clock. What's the plan for the group?
I think for Preston, for as far as the black goes, he is waiting for Monday to take that sample first thing. That's what he wants to do, is take it to get a reference from someone in his department on who should he speak to as far as analyzing substances, and that's his order of business for that. I mean, now that he's getting some type of funds to help him fund any type of research for himself, and he purposely wanted it in his name. Just, he doesn't like Professor Leiter that much, but it's just to make a name for himself as a graduate student, that if he has his own funding, he doesn't always have to ask for money. So that's what was that's his motivation there. So he will go along with the party as far as what's their next step to support, how do you say, their benefactor, the one that's paying them. I mean, whatever that next step is, I'm not sure what will do on a Sunday, but that's where Cobb's at. He wants to help with, obviously for what he's getting paid for it, but at the same time, the second he can, he's going to get that sample analyzed.
Okay, so let's do this in character. What do you guys talk about? What do you talk about next steps? If you guys want to fast forward to Monday, we can totally fast forward to Monday too. If you guys feel like there's not anything that you could do on a Sunday, that's totally fine. So what do you guys think?
So Arthur would be definitely wanting to ask some questions. He's going to make it very well known that he's not too fond of the police. Not that he is a criminal or lowlife or anything, but he just doesn't trust that they're ruling it as suicide so quickly and not doing a proper investigation. It feels like in his mind, so he doesn't want to raise any flashing lights at all. So he's just going to kind of hang with you guys, and because you guys have the most information about it, that he wouldn't have to just go shake random people on the street. And he'll ask also, because you were on Monday going to get the sample analyzed. Mr. Cobb, was there some sort of link here that I'm not seeing? Were you guys was my boy here on illicit substances? What's the whole connection here?
Not that I know of. I was tutoring a young man by the name of Walter. Who has appeared to overdose on this, what's called the black.
Do you have any knowledge of that, Seth, about like black or
Let's
anything
do a roll.
like that?
Let's do a roll. So
right.
First roll of the night, this deep in. Give me an edu roll, and you're going to need an extreme pass.
All right, education. Let's see. I got to turn off edit mode, I think. There we go.
Oh, Lordy. Oh, no. You have never heard of the black in your entire life.
You got 100 out of 75. Oh, wow.
That's a fumble. So,
right.
yeah.
I typically like to, as an artist myself, I typically stay away from the grays and then blacks. I like this. Is that what you guys are talking about? Yeah. So, just nothing.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
So I had no clue about that.
Nope.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, Mr. Belmont, if there is any connection. But it is a little strange to me that you have two young men that have died and not seemingly far away from each other and in a pretty close location to one another.
So with the body still warm, so to speak, I say we, unless Monday would be the best, course of action, just laying low and trying to find some things out. But I'd say we go find some friends or students, try to talk to them, find out what's going on. Unless y'all have already been down that road.
Well, my concern right now is, you see, Mr. Lamone did put in an anonymous report. So if the police have come out, I'm certain they must be talking to the students as well. So we would have to do that in such a way that.
Yes, that's a road I don't want to go down. All right, then.
Just to kind of frame this conversation, let's say that you guys went to a cafe and you decided to have lunch together to sort of game plan and talk things out. So we'll just say that you guys are all sitting around a table having lunch.
Okay.
And then, even though it's such a melancholy conversation, Arthur is making comments about ladies that are walking by openly. It's just like, I do love sundresses.
Okay, so and Edward speaks up now after that comment. Everyone kind of like looks at each other. Okay, so I personally need to still go speak to this Detective Stuckey, and I've heard his name now quite a few times. Are we assuming that he is leading this investigation or lack thereof? Then I'm basically addressing the group. I mean, I could leave it till Monday and we can go down to the school like Mr. Belmont said, but I was wondering, what about the Varga residence? I mean, if the police have already ruled it a suicide, I imagine they might not be too present there at the moment. We could go by.
I would greatly like that. If it's already been ruled and open and closed, I can't imagine they'd still be looking around. If they were, that would really raise some questions.
Edward gives out a big long sigh and goes and turns to Smiles very reluctantly. Do you think that's what we should do, Smiles?
Am I dreaming? Is Mr. Kane asking me if it's all right if we should trespass onto someone else's property?
That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying with a man of your experience, you might know where we should start looking to find what's hidden.
Well, in my professional detective opinion, sometimes some of these cops are, on a little bit of a payroll. We could check around to see if at a certain bar, if some acquaintances of ours has such contracts, as you would say, with some of these officers, and might get us a more detailed report of what happened. But if I
like that idea.
If we do go, we're going to need a couple bottles of vodka.
So we're dealing with Russians?
Okay, that's specific.
And when I say a couple bottles of vodka, I'm going to look over at Preston Cobb.
Well, there must be some sort of inside joke I don't know. Also, I didn't notice your scars before, sir.
Well, that's mighty kind of you to say that, but everyone notices the scars.
I think that's a great idea, finding out there's someone we can get some inside information from.
Just be warned, it might get a little bit tense, and I cannot 100% guarantee everyone's safety.
Already, this plan doesn't sound good.
Those are usually the best plans, sir.
Well, maybe we should split up. I mean, Mr. Kane, would you like to go visit the Varga house?
Yes, I would, but I don't know if that would be too suspicious. I don't know. I feel like if Mr. Lamone thinks we should be getting insider information, but really, and I'm going to turn to Arthur, if this is your nephew, Arthur, again, I'm still trying to question why I'm here, other than I've now involved myself in some very suspicious characters. No offense, Smiles. So if anything, I would like to help you and your family. So if you want to let us know what we should do, Arthur, Victor and I could drive you.
I would say that if it's been ruled as a suicide, the scene has been thoroughly cleaned and devoid of any clues and whatnot. But I think if we can find the people who would have cleaned up clues, that might be the way to go.
Now,
go ahead, sir.
Quick question there, Mr. Kane. I do recall that there was someone who had a very peculiar chat with Miss Audrey, right? Ariadne on that fateful night. And we met this character. I can't really seem to recall his name, but apparently he was some kind of spiritualist.
Oh, yes. I do believe you're talking about, I don't think it's Gerrhardt, but I think it might be Gerrhardt.
Gerrhardt Wvinch was his name. Gerrhardt Wvinch.
Yeah, I tried to forget him, Smiles. What do you mean?
Well, do you recall what the young ladies that were talking to him were saying about his encounter with Miss Ariadne?
Honestly, Smiles, I'm just not listening to when it's not too important. So please remind me.
Well, if I recall correctly, and I am saying this because I had quite a bit of drink that night, among other things. If I recall correctly, it wasn't all positive, to the point that Ariadne's uncle had asked the gentleman to leave. Something about a dark force or something like that. Some kind of weird voodoo things that, in my opinion, are all hogwash. But he was the only other person that we know for sure that had a more prolonged chat with Miss Ariadne.
Smiles and Edward, give me idea rolls.
And what would that be under?
Is an intelligence roll. They used to, so the reason why I'm calling them by all these different names in the old versions of Cthulhu, nice, good. Intelligence was called an idea roll, and edu was called a knowledge roll. So that's why I keep on. Oh, nice. Okay. So I don't know how much the players remember about that conversation, but I just want to make sure I'm gonna like outline again basically what the story was. Is that Gerrhardt Wvinch put together a seance to contact Ariadne's mother, and he stood up. Started garbling and growling as the ladies you were talking to said, and then he vomited all over the floor. Right. Ariadne like ducked under the desk and was like screaming. And they basically said that the night was over at that point. And then Smiles, you were kind of hinting around this, but when after Eugene had shot himself at the party and Gerrhardt was leaving, Mr. Zoltan said to him, he's like, never come back here again and take all your magic mumbo jumbo with you. And basically like, yelled at him on the way out. So that's what you guys remember from that night based on your intelligence rolls. You're right, Smiles. That I do remember. I do remember him yelling at the weird guy. Do you think we should, is it someone we should go talk to as well?
Didn't you pick up his business card?
I did. And I don't think I threw it away because I still had your pathetic business card. I'm going to go ahead and take it out. So you're right.
It's like oblong. It's a rhombus.
It flies away. Anyway, so I pocket your card again, and I'm like, yes, if I head back by the penthouse, I could pick up the card. We'll know where to get in contact with him. Maybe we'll do that on the way to the police department if that's where we're going.
I don't think we ever wanted to go to the police department.
I know Smiles didn't want to.
Yeah.
He was thinking of a CD back channel of info. Yeah, which I would be more leaning towards.
Yeah.
That
was Edward's own ignorance. Like, we're going to the okay.
No, but like maybe this Gerrhardt guy would be definitely someone to look into. Maybe have a prolonged and friendly chat with the gentleman. But in all honesty, I don't believe any of that hogwash story they were talking about. Him gargling and vomiting and all that bull. You see, like, even if there was such a thing as spirits of the night, I don't think they're as, scary as actual human beings. The spirits aren't really tangible, They can't really do anything to you. And as Smiles was saying this, he's kind of like leaning a little bit closer to the cane, kind of like getting almost in his face. It's like they can't really harm you or, the people that you love and hold dear.
And at this point, Edward surprisingly leans into you, Smiles. And this is like the first time he matches your intensity. And he goes, I've seen some shit, Smiles. So why don't you let me and the spirits of the nights I'll handle the spirits of the night. You handle your police departments or whatever. And then Edward's just going to sit back and kind of look at you again, Arthur, to be like, what do you think we should do?
Mr. Cobb, should we lean in close together too and say some things? I do believe you have a great suit there, sir.
Yeah, and as Kane leans back, definitely on Smiles' face is still his signature smile, but with his eyes kind of like show that he's a little bit of impressed by Kane there.
Some backbone.
Nice. And he leans back a little bit, kind of chuckling.
Good, he's learning.
Okay, so in the interest of moving this along, what's the plan here? Are you guys splitting up? Are you guys? You have a couple locations that you've thrown out. What do you guys think?
It's between like a CD location to find out if there's some crooked cops, and then that creepy guy, right?
Yeah, the spiritualist.
Preston has no desire to go back to creepy locations, to seedy locations. So been there, done that.
Let's
So
push that guy
Preston's pushing for Gerrhardt.
Let's push Gerrhardt for some information.
Yeah.
That's a good enough place to start. Start with one thread before you start scattering your name about, especially the police.
Perfect. We could get the car and we'll get back to the penthouse and we'll find out where this guy is at.
All right.
Okay, so you guys drive back to the penthouse that Mr. Kane is staying in.
Yep, just real quick, grabs the jacket.
Okay.
The thing in the jacket.
Yep. And I think on roll 20, you guys all have the Gerrhardt Wvinch card already shared with you, the document.
I believe so.
If you need to see that, you can.
That's right.
Yeah, you can definitely take a look at that. Does it have?
Yeah, it says call MISC 1451.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So you got his number on there. Yeah.
Oh, and as he's gonna be making the call to Gerrhardt Wvinch, I'm gonna go. I believe. Are we all in his room now, or is it just him in his room? How is that going?
I'd say you guys are probably all in his room.
All right, I'm going to go to a different location with a phone. I don't know if he has another phone in the room itself, or if there's going to be one, probably, like a couple pay phones, or
You can find one in the lobby for sure.
Yeah. A public phone in the lobby. And I'm going to call up my boss, Tony, I believe his name was.
Okay. All right, let's start with, I guess, is it Kane who's calling Gerrhardt?
Sure, that's fine.
All right, so the operator connects you, and you hear a voice. This is Gerrhardt Wvinch.
Mr. Wvinch, this is Edward King. We met at the Varga party on Friday, and I just actually, you gave me your card because you told me you were a spiritualist, and again, this is just Edward's spitballing, and I'm here with a couple friends of mine who were interested in possibly renting services from you for a seance. Oh,
well, of course. I would gladly do this. We could hold the seance at either one of your locations or rent a hotel room. When and where would you like to do this? And who are we contacting?
Well, I was wondering if maybe we could do it at your place. Maybe it's just maybe a better aura or I'm sorry, Mr. Wvinch. I don't really know what I'm talking about. All I know is that there is a good friend of mine, a student here at the university who passed away. His name was Walter. And I've gathered a couple people that know Walter, and he just died so unexpectedly that I don't know. We just thought that maybe we could contact him or something.
Well, yes. You've called the right person. I would happily do this for you, but I prefer not to meet at my house or my home, and we can meet at a neutral location. I usually prefer to rent hotel rooms, and I will include that as part of my price, and we can set up a meeting for sometime this week.
1 second. I'm going to put my hand over the receiver. Would you guys be okay if he came here and did it? We could question him here. I mean, we'd trap him in the room. I'm guessing that's what. And I'm speaking quietly, as I would probably know how loud these receivers pick up.
Yeah, we could we could either meet here or at my studio.
Ooh, a controlled place. Is that what you would like, Mr. Belmont?
I'd prefer that, just in case things
Excellent.
got a little out of hand. We could contain him there for a longer period of time.
Okay.
Hold on. Are we talking about kidnapping here?
No, just asking questions is what I understood.
Yeah.
Wait, did you say interrogation?
Yes.
Man, you Northerners slide right into the criminal element real fast.
Yeah.
See, my beloved nephew has passed, sir, and I got to find out what's going on. That means that, sir.
I'll go ahead and get back on to Mr. Wvinch. Actually, if we can meet at a neutral third-party location, there is a studio that would be perfect room, completely private. I'm nodding as I'm speaking to Arthur.
Yeah.
Would that work okay with you, Mr. Wvinch?
Yes, this is acceptable.
Okay, I'll give you the address, and as he writes it down.
Yeah,
and I'll go ahead and give him the address, and Sooner the better. Actually, would be. Are you available tonight?
Well, let me do a roll.
Check his schedule.
He's checking his schedule. Let's see.
Checking the DM plot line. I don't know.
Actually, no. I will be available tomorrow if you prefer to meet tomorrow night.
Monday night. That sounds excellent. 8 o'clock.
Very well. Yes.
Okay. Then we will meet you at the studio 8 o'clock. Do I need to bring anything?
Yes. If you could, if we are attempting to contact a particular deceased person, any personal belongings, the more intimate, perhaps, the better. Some sort of contact item for which I can try to channel him from, the other side.
Of course. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wvinch, for taking my call. Again, my name is Edward Kane, and I will meet you at the appointed spot, 8 o'clock on Monday.
Very well. I will see you then.
I'm just going to hang up.
Yep.
I'm just going to look at the group for a second. You guys can take it.
Was Eugene, right? My own nephew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was he was he living at the Wilcox estate, or did he have
Yeah, he was living with his parents still, and they were
we
very
did not even check
controlling
that room at all.
Mm.
Okay. Did you relay the information that there was like a personal item needed?
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, I'll go ahead and after that be like, they did say something personal, Walter. Preston, if you have anything of Walter's, and then I'll just look at you, Arthur.
Yeah, we would have to go back to my sister's estate and check his room out before that would take place. So just for the sake of clarity, remember there's two deaths here. So Edward was talking about the death of Walter Resnick and talking to Gerrhardt about that. Arthur, it seems like you're talking about Eugene. Yeah, and we're just going to deal with Walter's death, right?
Well, okay, so yeah, that's right. I guess Edward didn't really explain, neither did Steve. So the reason he used that is he didn't want to mention a possible murder / suicide suspect. So, and because he didn't know anything about Walter, it was his own ignorance of mentioning a name, but he just had heard it in passing. So it was more than anything just to get Wvinch in a controlled area.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm fine with just getting him in a controlled area. Don't really know if I believe in seance stuff.
Now, yeah, dude, exactly, gentlemen. Are we really going so far out as to collect personal items of either of these deceased individuals for this seance? I don't really believe in this stuff.
There's plenty of things. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Thomas.
I say there's plenty of things I've seen in my travels, but I think more than anything, I've got anger and rage behind me that I don't think a seance would be a good idea, anyways.
Well, I mean, if you really want to convince him, I can grab a shirt and say it was the Walters. I mean, not his shirt. I can grab one of mine. I mean, this charlatan's not going to know any difference, anyways.
All right, so I take my pocket watch out and I toss it to Cobb. I just say, yeah. It fumbles across the room to somebody who wants to catch it, and yeah, we just say this was his.
Perfect.
Yeah, of course. I grab just something to put it in, an envelope probably in there.
There you go.
Okay. All right, let's cut to Smiles. So Smiles, you head down to the lobby, you find a phone, and you're calling your capo, Tony.
Yep.
All right, so he picks up. He's like, yeah, this is Tony.
Hey, Tony, it's Smiles. How have you been?
Hey, Smiles. What's going on, buddy? Have you found anything about the Black? About a little problem?
Well, let's say I've had quite the eventful weekend so far. There are 2 people dead.
Oh, God,
not
wait.
by my hand. Don't worry.
Smiles. I told you to leave the Tommy gun at home, kid. I told you that. Please don't tell me that you killed these people.
I have not been able to use it, and I have been saddened by that fact. These 2 were not mine.
Oh, thank Christ. All right. Well, give me the update. What's the latest?
All right. So I have just sent you a little sample of the Black. We found a kid who overdosed on it, and I was able to get a little bit off of him. So I don't know if you can get it sent in, get it checked out, see what's all in this. Maybe we can find out where it's being manufactured that way.
Nice. Good work.
Yeah. And apparently there's been a murder at that party as well. And apparently there was this spiritualist guy who did some voodoo magic thing apparently as well.
I didn't realize I was going to send you into the crazy house there, so Miles, sorry.
Yeah, and you kind of set me in here for like a little to no resources, so I've kind of had to outsource for some help with the Irish mob down here.
Oh, he gets like quiet on the phone. He's like, Smiles.
Don't worry. I can handle it.
I wouldn't contact them again, Smiles. I'm surprised I haven't heard of that, but oh God, I'm gonna have to talk to the boss about this. But tell me exactly what happened with the Irish.
Nothing much. I've just, since they have been, in the neighborhood more so than we have, I've just been asking them to see if they knew anything about Black, or if Black has been. I'm guessing Black has also been cutting into their profits as well. So I've been a little heavy-handed in basically having a little bit of cooperation with them.
Okay, look, Smiles, don't do that. Don't reach out to them. Don't go back there. We don't know. The Irish may be behind the distribution of this thing, kid. I mean, did you think about that? I mean, we don't know at this point. And you're walking in there. I don't know what you told them, but if you went in there and talked to someone from the Irish, I'm definitely going to hear about it. And I'm the one who sent you over there, kid.
Don't worry. I've made contact with a fellow named Seamus. Let me see here.
Flanagan.
Seamus O'Shea.
Oh shit! Oh my God! Smiles. Oh, don't go back there. All right, just don't. You understand?
Oh, boss, I can't hear you. It seems to be that you're cutting up here. You know what? You said go back.
No, don't
will.
Go back. Don't. Smiles, listen. Can you hear me? No, don't
Tony,
go back.
Tony, don't worry. I can handle this, okay? And if they're the ones that have been distributing it, well, you know how I like to play.
Smiles, for your own safety, don't go back there. All right? Promise me you won't go back there. That's all. Come back home. We'll send some other guy out for this if we need to.
Sorry, but I'm a bit I haven't basically been paid to act as a bodyguard as well. So I can't come back at this moment until I have finished this job. You know how I am. I like to finish a task. And yeah, you're breaking up again. Bye. Hang up.
All right.
Oh, Johnny, I love you, man.
All right. I think that might be a good place to end it for tonight. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in. Check us out for our next episode. Again, if you enjoy our channel and you like our streams, make sure that you like and subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter at Page to Stage RPG. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.